This is Ellen Madono, and I'm speaking to you from Tokyo Homeopathy. Today I'm going to introduce my patient to a way of using potencies that many people don't know about, but it's very handy and makes the management of the potency much easier for the patient and for the homeopath. You can buy these potencies at Simulum in New Zealand. Dr. Joe Rosenzweig is the homeopath who thought first about using these potencies, and he wrote a book that is quite theoretical in nature. It's very different from what I'm doing because I'm going to help the patient or you to understand how to manage potencies that are like this. The man who discovered this was named Fibonacci, and he lived in the Middle Ages when people still used Roman numerals. He started using a foreign system that was discovered by the ancient Hindus and later used by the Muslims to do algebra. So using a system that is easier to manipulate, Fibonacci discovered the golden triangle. The golden triangle is the area underneath this spiral. So through a process of addition and multiplication that Fibonacci discovered, you could create a spiral that is found throughout nature. It's found in a flower, it's the shape of the galaxy, and it's found in the shape of the human ear. The golden triangle is used throughout our culture to express beauty, balance, and harmony. Dr. Roz thought, if this is good in other places because it is a reflection of beauty and harmony in nature, it's going to be helpful in homeopathy. And he was right. So the Fibonacci series that the homeopaths use starts at 3, 5, or 8. It starts someplace here. And it goes all the way to 203C. We're talking about the level of dilution. But because it's connected in a series that makes a spiral found in nature, these potencies gradually increase beyond the number that you see here. Potency generally expresses the depth with which a remedy affects you. Now, why would you want to use this kind of sequence when you're doing homeopathy? They increase your control of the remedy because they're in graduated steps, and you can decide when you're going to go up in potency. You can control much more easily. This allows you to get more out of your remedy. You ask a homeopath to find a curative remedy for you, and of course you want to get the most out of that remedy. It happens that the higher potencies have more effect on the deeper aspects of yourself. In general, that's your mental and emotional capacities. If you are controlling the remedies this way, you can prevent stagnation. Usually the homeopath gives you, say, 30C or 200C, and they say, come back in a month, or you come back 2 months later. There's probably a time when the remedy was doing nothing. You can avoid that because you're continually increasing the potency. Now, control of the speed of healing appeals to many of us who want to be more efficient in our lives. And many of us have a speedometer attached to our life value. Am I doing well enough? We judge by how fast and efficiently we're able to live. Aesop's Fables has this morale that slow and steady wins the race. And actually, this is generally true in homeopathy. If you speed up and stop, or speed up and quit, you're not likely to get so much out of your remedy. But if you go slow and steady, you'll get more. You can call me and I'll help you to monitor your progress. But to some extent, you're going to see how you can monitor your own progress on your own. Now, it's not always comfortable to be doing homeopathy. Sometimes you've used medicines or something that have prevented a part of your body or mind or spirit to heal itself, and they become a problem in the process of healing because you need to heal those aspects. So it can be very uncomfortable to do homeopathy. When it's you who's doing the healing, of course, discomfort is not welcome. But I've been doing this a long time with myself, and I find more and more that living with discomfort and being more aware of how I am uncomfortable is actually a good part of the healing. Life has its ups and downs. When you're up, enjoy the scenery. When you're down, touch the soul of your being and feel the beauty. Now, in the process of doing this, you can feel very stuck, or maybe you came to a homeopath because you felt stuck. You know, these cute little beavers, they dam up the lakes and rivers, and the people who live around them feel like they're pests. And you may feel that you've got a pest inside you, damming up your energy and not allowing you to flow through life as you feel that you should be. So we all become a terrain of some sort. And our energy flows as best it can. And if we don't have beavers damming up our energy, then life flows easily. This is what we want for good health. How can you know if your energy is dammed up this way? I'm going to refer you to what I call the rule of the stoplight. The red light is the time when you think everything has settled down. The remedy is not causing any rapid change, and then you begin counting. 1 day, 2 days. If no change, go to the yellow light, where you can repeat the remedy. But as soon as there starts to be some change, you should go back to the red light and wait until the change stops and start again. So you might repeat the remedy many times, and finally the change kind of settles down. At that point, you can increase the potency. So you might think of it as you're constantly going back and waiting 2 days because you keep on having all kinds of instabilities in your life. And I know sometimes it seems like the instabilities come from where, you're not sure, but mainly it's your reactions to that instability. And so if you become stable, then you go into these blue arrows here. And first you can repeat the remedy, and next you can increase the potencies because you're stable in this area. As long as you're unstable, you should go back to the red light. While you're stable, you can repeat, and finally you can increase. This seems like progress, but you shouldn't think about this going up in potencies as winning the race or going faster. It's more a matter of observing when you're unstable and when you're stable. It's only when you're stable that you repeat, and after 2 days you can increase. As long as you're unstable, you're going back to the red light, and you will wait until you feel stability. In Buddhism, everything changes and nothing remains the same. And I find personally that this is a source of my own suffering. I'm having trouble adjusting. It could be too much happiness, too much excitement. It's not only disease and the problems of life. It could be too much of a good thing that could be hard to adjust to. In any case, regardless of whether your change is good or bad, awareness is the agent for change. So what are we talking about here? How does the sequence affect your reaction? We have this golden mean where the first 2 days there's very little power in the remedy. And then you multiply and you get 4 squares under the curve here, 9 squares, 25, 64. You can see that the amount of area under the curve increases. The area under the curve is the power of your remedy. It's increasing by multiplication. So after 1 month, if the rabbit's babies become able to reproduce, then they begin producing more rabbits. And after several months, you have many more rabbits in that cage, if you keep feeding them. So it's all a matter of multiplication. And multiplication looks like this. The area under the curve here is not a very high potency. It's not very strong. But once you get to 21C in the potencies, C is the way we measure potency in this case. Once you get there, the potencies go up. And of course this is getting stronger. So you should expect stronger reactions and more waiting. If you feel that the reactions are too strong, it might be good to wait, but then sometimes if you wait too long with the same problem, then actually the remedy isn't helping you, and you'd be helped to go up to another potency. So I have this rule of the stoplight just to help you to track that in your everyday life. But let's look at what this looks like in terms of the curve. Sometimes we are the overreactive rabbit. We're saying, I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. We're running all the time, and we expect our remedies to also be running. So stronger potency sounds like a good idea because I want my problem to be solved. The potency whip looks like this. This game is called Crack the Whip. The strong boy who's pulling everyone else has energy that goes down the whip. So the girl at the end of the whip gets the strongest level of energy. Now what I want to avoid is for you to be falling down because you're getting stronger energy. The whip looks like this. At the beginning, where you're holding and you're beginning the potencies, it's not that strong. But as you get into higher potencies, it becomes stronger. So the reaction will be stronger. This is just my idea, but I'm not sure where these numbers go. But something like this, in this order anyway. Now what's happening inside your body as the potencies go up? The immune system begins to balance. And so different parts of the immune system work better. And as they work better, they can attack something foreign in your body that's not supposed to be there, and so you'll have more garbage that has to be cleared out. This would be what the work of the white blood cells, or the antibodies, or the lymphatic system. The thymus gland could work better, so you have a different kind of balance. The spleen also creates lymphocytes, hormones changing. The bone marrow, where the cells are created, also could change. Every remedy has a different way of affecting the individual person. But what we know is these different parts of the body can increase the strength of the immune system, in which case you will react more to the remedy. If we look at it in terms of many kinds of diseases, these underreactions would be cancer or inflammation. Inflammation occurs because the body is not reacting strongly enough to whatever it is that's bothering you. When there's an overreaction, we get something like allergies and autoimmune diseases. At the same time, overreaction could also be your remedy strengthening your body so that you begin to overreact, and then you begin to have problems. So the general wisdom would be to slow down at that point if you're getting too much reaction. Now, how do you go about evaluating your progress? Everyone looks to therapy to change. Something is not good. Maybe I weigh too much, or I don't feel strong enough, or whatever it is. We all have different issues. But the issue that I'm not good enough is not what we're talking about here at all. We're talking about change only, stability. So it's not a matter of whether this guy needs to lose weight. How can he look at his change other than looking at a health meter, looking at his weight? His weight is probably not a good way to go about evaluating. I'm going to give you a couple of acronyms to help you to remember what I would like you to keep track of. That's sleep, energy, appetite, and mood. Maybe you don't sew, so you don't think of SEAM as being a great acronym. Here's another one. BEAM, sleep in bed, energy, appetite, and mood. Sleep could be how you feel about the sleep, your sleep, not the number of hours that you slept. We sleep a different number of hours, and the quality of our sleep is not quantitative. When we wake up in the morning, if you don't feel rested, even if you slept for 10 hours, that's not very good sleep. But it's not sleep that you've been having for the last so many months, but it's the sleep since you took the remedy. We're looking for what is changing since you took the remedy. It doesn't, so if your sleep is better than it was before you took the remedy, that's a change. It's better, but it's the change that we're looking at. Better is not the criterion. Energy also it's a very abstract matter. It's how you feel, how much energy you have. And since you took the remedy, or the increase in the potency, or whatever, since you took the remedy, has there been any change in your energy? It could go down, it could go up. Appetite as well. Maybe since you took the remedy, suddenly you're just eating junk food. You're eating a lot. Maybe you want to be eating more, but you're just eating junk food. That might not be so good, but it's a change from what you were doing before. Maybe you weren't eating before, and suddenly you're eating junk food. That's a change. So it's the change that we're looking at, not whether this is good or bad. The same goes for your mood. We're not talking about you're having a good mood or a bad mood. We're talking about a change in your mood. So going back to the stoplight, no change. That means that no change, you're feeling as rotten as you were before. That's no change. But not rotten in general. Rotten in terms of sleep, energy, appetite, or mood. Any of those. Any one of those. No change. Any change in any of those, and you're at the red light. When do you repeat? You repeat when you are getting no change and 2 days have passed. And again, you get no change and 2 more days have passed. Then you can increase the potency. This is the rule of the stoplight. It's very simple. If you can stick to change since you took the remedy and change in any one of those parameters. If there's no change, you can move ahead to the next, repeating or increasing the potency. Okay. So at first you wait, then you repeat, then you increase. You may be thinking of your life on a kind of a game board like this. So on day 1 you start at red, and then there's a change. There was no change, and suddenly there's a change, and so you go back to red. That's kind of the wrong metaphor, because the change could be bad, it could be good, and you're not going back to start. We're just trying to evaluate how you're doing in the process. We're trying to finding a way of when to increase and when to repeat and when to increase. We're looking for a way to understand when to wait, when to repeat the remedy, and when to increase it. So as long as there's no change, you can go ahead to the next light. And you can see that you could go along here. When you get to the green light here, if there's no change after the green light, then again you repeat. As long as there is no change, you can go forward. As soon as there is change, you go back to the red light. Okay? It's not like you lost ground or you're not progressing. This is merely a way to decide when to change the potency, when to repeat. Okay? And each time you're looking at each of these parameters, any change in any of them is a change, good or bad. Now, at some point, you want to evaluate whether the remedy is effective or not effective. The homeopath could have chosen the wrong remedy. And if it's not effective, you wouldn't continue to take that remedy. If you were getting a good effect in the beginning and you got to the higher potencies and you started to have more problems because the remedy's getting stronger, this is not surprising, but you probably need to slow down for your own comfort, good or bad. Now, at some point, you want to evaluate whether the remedy is effective or not effective. The homeopath could have chosen the wrong remedy. And if it's not effective, you wouldn't continue to take that remedy. If you were getting a good effect in the beginning and you got to the higher potencies and you started to have more problems because the remedy's getting stronger, this is not surprising, but you probably need to slow down for your own comfort. And if you were making progress in the beginning and you had problems and you were using medication to suppress your problems, or maybe you emotionally are suppressing your problems, you actually have a lot of anger, but you're saying, no, I don't have any anger. I just want to avoid conflict. But you're saying, no, I don't have any anger. I just want to avoid conflict. I don't have any anger. It could be that you do have anger and you're suppressing it, which is no different than antibiotics suppressing an infection and not allowing it to fully heal. So as you get to the higher potencies, you will begin healing those suppressed problems. At that point, because it's uncomfortable, you can quit taking the F-potencies. It's fine. This is your own personal decision. Do you want to go through this much trouble or not? The homeopath can't even guarantee that you will have no more problems again and you'll be totally healed. That probably is not a very prudent guarantee to make. But my experience and the experience of other homeopaths is, if at the early stages you were having good healing, as you rise in potency, if you slow down and take good care of yourself, it's very likely that the healing will continue. But if it doesn't seem to be continuing, of course you can stop. So you're basically looking at yourself and trying to decide when to go forward. Now, there's a situation when you're taking care of an elderly person or a baby, and that person maybe can't fully express themselves, in which case you have to guess. And if you're using F-potency, then be conservative, I would say. Or another case is you're taking care of a teenager for whom self-awareness is possible. In that case, I would have the teenager learn either this acronym or this acronym. I would have them keep track of their sleep, their energy, their appetite, and their mood. These 4 things. And based on that, I would make decisions. If your teenager is able to cooperate in that sort of way. Of course, every person varies in their ability to be self-aware. Now, I'm a bit lazy, and I try very hard to be self-aware, but sometimes paying This much attention to myself is just, I'm not following my own advice very well. I'm the rabbit. I quit paying attention. I know that. I know that about myself. So I kind of try to stay with the turtle by just looking at the calendar and trying to stay slow enough when I feel like I'm getting stability. Maybe I'm not keeping track of all these parameters, but when I feel like I'm getting stability, then I move on to the next place. And I think that's okay too. It's probably not the most efficient if you want to get quick progress, but it's probably good enough. So if you're tired of managing your remedy, then you can leave healing to nature and don't change your potency very fast. If you have time for slower healing, being lazy will cause no harm, and relaxing is also healing. Now, often it helps to discuss your progress with someone else. As a homeopath, I'm always open to my patients to talk or to email and to check how they're doing. And so I am teaching my patient how to make his own potencies. And the next video will be about that topic. So I hope that you will stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.